Now let's create a new artboard that's exactly the same size and even has some of the same graphics we've already created. I'm going to do Command and the minus sign to zoom out. Hold down the Option key as you click on the name of the artboard. When you click and drag with the Option key held down, this will make a copy of that artboard and all the information that's on it. And so very quickly and easily, this is a great way of building out same style of designs without having to recreate all of it. From here, the first thing I'll do is double click the name of it, and let's rename this one our Select a Burger part. I do have a special graphic that steps along each one of these. So to find it, let's go back up to File and Import. I'm going to go to the second folder that's in our Johnny Burgers kiosk of selecting a burger and choose the Step 1 PNG. We'll import it and place it down here towards the bottom. You can see that the Step 1 is the largest, so this allows me to know that I'm on the first step towards making my selection. Now with that in the way, let's see if I can move some other things around. I'm going to place my logo down towards the bottom to scale it down. Let's move this up so that it's nice and evenly distributed. That looks good. And we'll keep this here. The next thing we need to do is to simply place all of our hamburgers onto here. So to do those, we'll go back up to File and Import. And you can choose all of the different types of hamburgers. Notice they have their own individual names, and again, they're saved as PNGs. When we say import, now these are going to bring them all on, and they're going to be very big, so you may have to zoom out in order to see them. If this is the case and it's on top of your artboard, you can see how it disappears, so simply drag it off to the outside of your artboard. If you select all of them while they're still outside your artboard, you can scale them all down very quickly. So let's see, we'll click and drag. Now they're starting to be a little bit more manageable, and I can place them inside of my area. Let's zoom back in so I can see it. Next, let's resize these so that they all look relatively the same size. And let's space them out so that they're done appropriately. Since I have 5 different hamburgers, I think a row of 3 and a row of 2 would be a good placement for each one of these. There is no particular order these have to be done in. Just note that you may have to go back and see what each hamburger is, or at least the name of each hamburger as it's done. As you place these on here, you can see I've got my smart guides turned on, and these will help in the alignment and distribution. So for instance, I can see that both of these are evenly spaced out by a certain number of pixels, and we want them to all be well aligned with each other. We don't want to have one taller or shorter than the others. So as I place these, we'll get them all roughly the same size and in good placement, and we'll let it fill out the entire area. That looks pretty good for there. Now to give you fair warning, we want to have plenty of room left in the middle to add the title and some buttons and the price. So I don't want to spread these out too much. Instead, I'm going to move these a little bit closer to the top, these a little bit closer together, right about there. This will give us a good amount of room in the middle to add our titles and also the buttons down here. So you should be able to have at least 2 lines worth to work on. Next, let's choose our type tool, and I'm going to change this to select your, burger, ... Now to add interactivity to our design, we want to be able to click on this first slide, this first home page, and have it transition to our Select a Burger page. In order to do this, have a look at the top left-hand corner of your screen. By default, we've been working in design mode. This allows you to place and create your own graphics. In order to make it interactive, we need to choose prototype as our mode. With prototype done, I can click on my first home screen, and you can see that a little arrow will appear on the right-hand side. When you click and drag with this arrow, this allows you to link from one page over to another. So I drag it onto Select a Burger page, and you can see how it's connected together. From here, with it still selected, have a look at the far right-hand side. There's different ways and different options that you can choose whenever you interact with something. First, there's different kinds of triggers, like you can have it tap, you can drag or press a certain key, or even give certain voice commands. For everything that we're doing, we're only going to be tapping on it. Also, you can have different kinds of transitions, and you can specify the specific destination. What we want to do is also have a certain kind of animation as it moves from one to the other. We want it to dissolve from one page to the other. With this done, in order to test out our animation, click on the little play button at the far right-hand corner. When you click on play, this will open up a preview of your document, and now when we click on it, this will dissolve to the next screen. Pretty cool. So with this done, we've connected up those two different pages. Now we want to be able to click on all of the different hamburgers and be able to give their name and some information about at least one of them. Let's go back up to design mode, and also while we're here, let's save our document if you haven't already saved it. I'm going to choose my black arrow selection tool, and let's make a copy of the Select a Burger artboard. Again, you may have to do Command- to zoom out. Hold down the Option key as you click on the name of the artboard and drag it over. We'll call this Select a Burger 2. I'm going to zoom into this art panel now. We won't need this text, so I'm going to move it out of the way just for now, but I will grab my Type tool, and I'm going to click once, and I need to type the name of my first hamburger. Off the top of my head, I don't remember it, so let's go back to our Select a Burger and see if we can find which one it is. If I'm not mistaken, it's the Hefty, no, not the Hefty Polo. It looks like it's the Grandwich, simply because it's got the egg in the center of it. So Grandwich is the name of it. Again, choose your Type tool, click in the middle, there we go. The Grandwich. And we want to type this using that new After Night font that we use. So again, going over to our fonts, you can highlight the name of it and type in After Night. And we want to change the color of this to match the colors in our logo. The quickest and easiest way to do it is to highlight your text, go down to the fill color, and click on the little eyedropper tool. This will allow you to quickly and easily select any individual pixel. In this case, let's do it on the orange that's here, and that looks good for that. With that done, we can select our text and move it into place. And if we need to, we can click on the bottom to drag it up. There's no particular size that I need it to be. I do need to, however, keep plenty of room for it to stay inside this area and give me an option to have more room at the bottom. For instance, I'll use my Select a Burger text, and let's add a price to it. Now the price of each one of these can be found in, your third burger selection under Burger Text. Here we have the different prices for the Grandwich, the Hefty Polo, High Rise, Big Ol' Bacon, and even the Mondo. So if you need to, open up this burger text. The Grandwich is going to be $5.50, so I'll simply highlight that and copy it, and I'm going to paste it into here. Again, you can use your black arrow selection tool to move it into place and even change the size of it. With this done, I'm going to highlight it, and let's also give it a different color. In this case, maybe I'll use a lighter version of what we used before. Finally, let's create one little button to see what's inside of each of the hamburgers. To make a button, let's go over to the left-hand side, and I'm going to make it a rounded rectangle button. I'm going to choose my rectangle tool, and we'll click and drag down below it to create a simple rectangle. This rectangle needs to be roughly the same height as whatever price that you have. In order to round off this rectangle, you see we've got our little corner widgets that we can click on and drag, and when you bring those in, it will round off both of the edges. You can also round off the edges by looking towards the middle of your panels, and you can type in or dial in an exact amount of rounding right here. The other thing we want this to do is to not just have a solid fill color, but to have a gradation color. If you click on the word fill, this will open up your color picker where you can choose any solid color. But instead of using solid, let's do a linear gradient. And this will give it a linear gradient from one color to the other. Again, we'll choose the two different colors that are found in our logo. So I'm going to click on this first little color swatch, and I'll use my eyedropper tool to pick up maybe a lighter color up here. Then I'll click on the darker color, click on my eyedropper, and let's choose a darker red down here. And again, if you want to change up the direction of your gradient, you can click on the gradient slider inside of here and change it up. But I'm going to keep mine going vertical. Now that I've got my button created, all I've got to do is to choose my type tool, click inside of it, and let's type out what's inside it. What's in it? Obviously I've got the wrong font, so let's choose that Futura font that we did before. And we'll scale it down by choosing my selection tool and clicking on the middle. And let's place it so that it's centered nicely inside of this button. Finally, with it selected, I'll change the color to be a white so I can see what it looks like. Oops, looks like, oh, need to add a question mark since we're asking a question with it. That looks good there too. All right, zooming back out. Now I can go through and I can tweak everything so that it looks nice on my screen and everything is evenly spaced. The final thing I want to do to get this set up is I want to have the burger that I've clicked on to be highlighted. In other words, I want it to have kind of an outer glow or give me some sort of indication that I've clicked on it. With this done, I'm going to select the burger that we have, in this case our Grandwich, and down towards the bottom we're going to add a shadow to it. And this will be a simple drop shadow. Now in order for it to be seen, I'm going to click on the shadow color and I'm going to set my color to be a bright yellow and make sure the opacity of it is turned way up. Finally, we can change the amount of blur by increasing the B option down here, and we'll set the blur to be 50. With that done, now you can see it has a nice little outer glow kind of effect to just that hamburger, as if I was to click on it and select it. Now since I've done this for one hamburger, we need to make a copy of this 4 more times and make a selection for the other 4 hamburgers that we have. Since this is done for the Grandwich, I'm also going to rename this the Grandwich hamburger so that I know this artboard is only for when the Grandwich is selected. So again, I'm going to zoom out, hold down Option as I click on the name of it. Let's make 1, 2, 3, and 4. 4 copies of our artboard. You'll notice in this case, I kind of went vertical with it. And they don't have to be all stacked on top of each other as high as this is. To be honest, there's no one particular order this needs to be in. But do keep everything nice and organized, because if I was to click on this, I want to be able to click on one hamburger and jump to the appropriate frame. Here's what I mean. Since I've already done one for the Grandwich, let's do the next hamburger that's in order. I don't remember the name of it, so let's again go back to our burger text and select a burger. This one's the double stack, so I bet it's the high rise. So with this, I can go in, let's go to our text, and let's copy out the text that I need. We'll copy that, change the name of it to be the high rise, copy the price of it, which is going to be $6. Whoops. There we go, 6.00. And then finally we need to select the hamburger and we need to add the shadow around it as well. So with shadow turned on, remember to make it bright yellow and 100%, and then set the blurriness to be 50. We can turn off the blurriness for the Grandwich, so we simply uncheck that to get it done for there. Repeat this process for all of the other hamburgers that you see, And when you're finished, you should have all 5 of them completely done. All right, now that I've completed updating all of the different artboards, one thing I'll point out is make sure you change the name of it to the appropriate hamburger, and I've also got the appropriate price that goes along with each one of those for the bacon, the hefty polo, the mondo, the high rise, and of course finally our grandwich. The next thing we want to do is to add some interactivity to where if I was to click on any one of these hamburgers, I should be able to link to their appropriate page here. Now in order to do this, again, let's go to our prototype setting and let's work from the Select a Burger page first. By clicking on one of the hamburgers with Select a Burger done, we can click on where to connect it to. I could simply drag it over to the appropriate one. So the grandwich goes to the grandwich here. With that done, we can also set our transition. Instead of it dissolving, we want it to instantly jump to it. So I can choose from here to choose none for our animation type. Another way we can do it is to click on the image itself, click on the link, but I'm not going to drag it to here. Since I already know what this is, so this is the high rise, I can simply go over to my options for my triggers and I can tell it what artboard to go to. So in this case, we're going to let that go to the high rise, which will automatically place it there, and then finally we'll keep the animation set to none. So whichever it takes, clicking on the burger, click on the transition, and then go over to your options and then choose the appropriate destination for this one. So this will be the mondo. Set animation to none. This will be the hefty polo. Again, click on the there. Set your destination to be the hefty polo and keep your animation at none. And then finally, let's do the same for our big old bacon. Select it, turn on the transition, set your artboard to be big old bacon, and keep your transition to none. If we were to click on it, you can see how it's starting to get really complex. But let's go ahead and test this. I can play once. Now, if I played it based on the artboard that was selected, obviously I'm on the wrong artboard. Let's click on our home artboard. Now with it selected, we'll go to test it, choose to begin. I can scroll over any one of these, and when I click on it, it looks like I've selected it from there. This works really good, however, I'm a bit stuck now. If I was to go to select another hamburger, it's not jumping from this page back to all the others. So let's take some time and go through each of the different transitions for each of these pages as well. So I'm gone from our Select a Burger. Let's go to the Grandwich one. I can select Grandwich, and I don't need to move anywhere from here, but I do need to move from this burger. And this burger is the, if I'm not mistaken, whoops, excuse me. This is the high rise. Again, animation will be none. This burger is the mondo. This burger is the hefty polo. Turn on transition. And then finally this burger, turn on transition, is the big old bacon. Now if I was to test it again, go back to our main one, I should be able to click on the Grandwich burger, and from the Grandwich I could select another burger. I simply need to go through each of our different artboards and reconnect up all of the different burgers from here. Again, this will take some time, but once it's done, you should have full interactivity for all of your different buttons. So take some time and go through and connect them up now. Now with all of these boards set up, and again, you can click to see all the different settings that are on here by selecting all of them. Let's return to our home page and choose to prototype it. I should be able to click on any burger, and you can see it'll automatically jump to the appropriate setting for that. In the next video, we're going to talk about clicking on the big ol' bacon burger and then choosing the what's in it to be able to see all of the different graphics and add text to see what's inside of this hamburger.